I really feel like boredom is kind of a medicine that we never really think about actually needing in our lives. But in the world right now, especially that we live in where everything is so distracting, and there's constant stimulation that is always taking away from better kinds of thought processes and our ability to focus. I feel like it's so difficult to actually find a place outside of the mind-numbing noise that we get from everything that we have going on in the world, especially when we're like pushing it into our faces through random doom scrolling and just like passively just like flicking through content that is meaningless to us 90% of the time. And I feel like right now there is just so much overwhelming stimulation, and I think that it makes it harder than ever to recover from those kind of things as well, because the effects are harder than we've ever seen in our lifetimes. I think it makes it very difficult to just pry the fucking phone away from our hands and make ourselves go outside and actually touch grass and decide that we're going to actually talk to other people. And it makes it difficult, but it doesn't make it impossible. And I do believe in this dark time that we're in right now that this truly is the medicine that we need to be seeking out in order to help us be who we truly want to be and our full, actual, realized selves that isn't morphed or molded or affected or like anything by stupid brain rot and like all kinds of random convoluted noise. Like, just think about this idea. When you constantly numb your brain, you have like a constant stimulant in your mind that takes away from the room that you have to put other things in. Because your mind is like a room. And you get to choose what you put in that room. You get to choose where things go. You get to choose how many things are in there. You get to choose what kind of things you fill up your room with, like what goes on your walls and everything. But this constant stimulus also fills it up very quickly. It makes the space that you have rapidly feel like it's closing in on itself, and only so many things can be fit into this room at once. So it's just kind of causing clutter at that point. Your mind starts to be full of every stupid phrase and every TikTok song that you hear, every trendy, lame noise that they use on TikTok that you see in every other video. Every joke that you heard the first three words of to scroll past that because you didn't want to watch that guy's video just to hear somebody else be singing about like Bangladesh and shit. It's kind of stupid, but it becomes something where like all these people that are in this combined space sort of just become bots. And in doing that, you're literally turning your own thoughts and what comes out when you try to think into random noise. And you're adding so much in there that it also makes it difficult to focus on just one thing at a time. You're effectively turning your brain into doom scrolling thoughts because that noise you hear when you're doom scrolling, those like everything changing so quickly over and over and over again, your brain becomes like that when you do that shit to yourself for too long. It does. And for example, when is the last time that you were able to focus on one thing and one thing only on your own choosing, just sitting down and thinking about one thing for 3 minutes? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably been a while, especially if you're doing what I'm talking about to negatively impact your mind. I feel like it makes it so difficult just to think, let alone think long enough to have ideas on one thing and then hold those ideas long enough to start bringing them into actual reality. And it makes it where you have so much shit that you have to sift through just to get to what actually matters in your own brain and like what you actually want to be thinking about. And it makes it to where your ideas become unusable and something that you cannot actually focus on to make happen. And you start running really low on the clarity that you need to do anything. And it's really because you have to give yourself so much more time than what you're giving yourself in order to allow those things to declutter in your mind. Like a lot of us have been doom scrolling and having issues with these kind of things for years. It's been a problem for a long time. And even back in Vine days and stuff like that, it felt like the things we watched on Vine were a whole lot more substantial and a whole lot more meaningful than even the stuff on TikTok and things today. But it's still been an issue for a while and that we've seen coming over the horizon. And the unfortunate part about all that is when your brain is already that cluttered and when it's already that convoluted and overstimulated, I feel like it can make it really easy to go back into that kind of behavior over and over and over again because that's what feels most comfortable at a certain point. But it's not actually benefiting you or doing anything for you. And at the end of the day, you're just recluttering everything, especially if you like do certain things to allow yourself to kind of clean up your mind. And then all of a sudden you start recluttering it over and over again. It's like, it just makes it harder and harder and harder on yourself. And I feel like that's super unhealthy. And you have to allow yourself the time for the boredom to actually sit in because that's a good thing to be bored. Like, think about when your real life environment is cluttered and a mess, it makes it hard for you to sit down and focus on anything else in that environment. It's overwhelming, and sometimes it can be so bad for people that it makes it hard to even know where to begin as to where to start cleaning up stuff. But when it's all clean, there's not really anything to do or anything to think about. And you can actually like lay on your bed and take a deep breath and just sit there and do nothing at all for a moment at least. And whenever you do that for long enough, I feel like you can start seeing the things that have value to you in your life again. You can start to see like the real reason you want to like consuming is not evil. Consuming is not the evil thing in the world. What's problematic is the doom scrolling and the way it affects your attention span, and then also the consumption of media that actually isn't important. But when you allow yourself to have this space, you get to see the things that actually matter to you again. You get to see like why you've watched Ratatouille 60 times and the meaning behind how that movie makes you feel. And you get to watch it for like the 61st time because it actually matters to you. You get to listen to music that you actually enjoy and that affects you internally, emotionally, or like makes you happy, makes you want to sing too, makes you want to like go and hug your people that you love. And I think that that is where like the real substance starts to flow back into people's lives. You start to see the real meaning behind your actions and the way you can start doing things to add value and real substance to your life, like just going on a walk and doing nothing but going on the walk, or maybe talking to a friend while you go on the walk and just enjoying being alive and taking in that environment and just being in existence and in the real world. And it's so different from like constantly seeing all these other people on a screen that are doing like this and that and this and that and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and like random TikToks dance, random thing they're trying to sell, like random AI, this and that. It's like just so crazy. And honestly, when you think about it, it's like the epitome of stress. It's the epitome of overstimulation. If you were in a room with like 50 different changing people and like each one of them said like part of a phrase or like a random thing to you and they were all just taking turns like saying random shit to you, it would be so overwhelming and honestly feel like a fever dream and you would not want to be there. So why is it that doom scrolling is something that we're so gravitated towards? And why is it that we allow ourselves to basically put ourselves in that kind of environment? It's like sitting down to watch TV and deciding that every fucking 30 seconds you're going to change the channel on yourself. And that's all you watch for like 3 hours and then you're done. And you didn't actually get any full kind of something with substance out of any of that. You didn't actually sit there and get immersed. You didn't actually find meaning in what you watched. You didn't actually gain any sort of knowledge. You just feel like your brain is cluttered. There are endless possibilities to things that you could be doing outside of that that actually add value or actually mean something in your heart. And the moment that you're in a situation where you're at those crossroads of like the choice between the two things, whether it's like the things that actually matter versus doom scrolling and just like time shifting everything till you're like 3 hours ahead and you've went through 50 fucking videos and you don't even know what the fuck is going on at that point, you are set with a decision. You could do one or the other. And you're choosing clutter versus unclutter, essentially. You're choosing like overstimulation over clarity. And at any point in time, you can go back and start going down the other path, but you just have to decide to actually do that. And the longer you stay on one path, the deeper you get into that direction. And eventually, if you start choosing the path to stay clean and to keep things less chaotic and less cluttered, I feel like you can start seeing the clutter for what it really is. And it's truly something that doesn't even matter. It's something you shouldn't even care about. The clutter, the over convoluted doom scrolling noise that you get whenever you're just like fucking hitting that shit hard is valueless. It is honestly just the epitome of stress. Like, I don't know why it's even something that we gravitate towards as human beings because it's so stressful when you really think about what it is. When I think about it, it kind of reminds me of like when you're at school and you go to the lunch cafeteria and like everybody's having conversations, everybody's talking. It's almost impossible to like make out what anybody is actually talking about unless you're having a one-on-one conversation or a conversation with a group of people and you're dead set focused on that and you drown out all the noise. Well, imagine sitting in that kind of environment and drowning out into the noise, into all the sounds, into everything else. You can't focus on shit anybody's actually trying to tell you. You can't focus on anything that somebody's actually trying to talk to you about if your brain is stuck in the cloud of excess sounds. And eventually, if you do sit down and decide to take the peaceful route and you decide to go the direction that allows you to think clearly, you may start to have those ideas come back that were in your head that you feel like you can't focus on. You may start to have the things that come back in your mind and the clarity and the ability to actually sit there and concentrate on it long enough to bring an idea into reality and make it something that's true instead of just an idea. But when we're lessening our attention spans and we're constantly making our brains cluttered, it makes it so difficult to sift through all of that to get to the ideas, let alone have the clarity and focus to be able to enact them. It's not even funny. And I think it's really unbeneficial in the long term, especially for us as human beings who seek out these things. We seek out the ideas, we seek out creation, we seek out ways to invent and ways to come up with what we want to enact in our lives. And whenever we fill our brains up with all of this bullshit, we can't actually do that for ourselves. And we may not feel it in the moment, but we feel it after the fact. And we're going to feel it down the road if we don't actually fix things and decide to make this positive route that we could choose a consistent choice that we're always gravitating towards, way more than the doom scrolling. And doom scrolling isn't actually the only culprit here, whether it's like an addiction to food or pot or any other substance or like whatever. It's just serving to make your brain less capable of dealing with what it needs to in order to be what it needs to be, if that makes sense. You're literally maiming yourself and making it to where you're not able to actually function to full capacity and use the amount of your brain that you need to in order to do what you want to do. So no matter what your problems are, or whether they're like a mix of all these things that I've kind of talked about, like put it down, bro. Like pry it from your hands, put it down, walk away, do something else, and regain yourself, regain your focus, regain who you are, regain your ability to concentrate and think clearly because it's important. You need to save your brain, you need to save your mind, and you need to save yourself internally, and you owe yourself that. I think at the end of the day, for each one of us as individual people, that is the best thing we can do for the person that we truly are. I just kind of wanted to rant about that for a minute and talk about some of the ideas that I had been having and let you guys know how I felt. And let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear your opinion. Let me know if you guys struggle with this or not. Let me know if you guys think that I hit the nail on the head, or let me know if, you guys have some things you'd like to add. I'd love to hear about it down below. And I also want you to remember to smile and be happy and enjoy your time here on earth with the people that you're around and the people you care about, doing the things that actually matter to you and not just numbing your brain, because it's really important that you don't do that. It's very bad for you. I will see you guys in the next video I make. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you guys have a good day.